Hello friends, today we're going to work on layer 2 of our Garageband production. Layer 2 is the chords layer, and this is probably the most complex layer of all. Prior to this, we've done layer 1, in which we've made drums, and as you can see here, I've got my A1 drums, my A2, my A3, and my A4, and each one builds in intensity. For what we're going to do today, I'm just going to use A2, and what I've done is I've taken my A2 and I've copied and pasted it over here just into a free space and use the, I'll show you this, I've used the loop function. So don't pull it out from the bottom right corner because that doesn't do what we want. What we want to do is pull it out from the top right corner to make it a 4-bar loop. My A2 is a 2-bar loop already, so I only had to loop it once. However, if your loop is only a 1-bar loop like this, then you'll want to pull it out 3 more times to make it a 4-bar loop. But I'm just going to use Command Z to put it back how I had it. So here's my loop, my drum loop. I should add at this point that if you want to slow it down, if you find when you're playing the chords that you can't keep up with what you're doing, you're welcome to slow the tempo down here and then speed it up again later. So, as we discussed in our class, we're going to create a chord progression being a set sequence of chords that moves from one to the other, and it's the same order each time you loop it around. And we're going to be working in the key of A minor, which means we're going to make A minor our first chord. And I've handpicked a bunch of other chords for you to use that we already know are going to sound good. The other chords being C major, D major, D minor, E major, E minor, F major, and G major. So the cool thing about these chords is if you start with A minor and you put the other chords in almost any order you like, they're probably going to sound good. There's a couple of combinations that maybe won't work, but honestly, most combinations will sound pretty good. You can also try not starting with A minor and maybe putting A minor somewhere else in the progression. You do definitely have to have A minor to make it feel like it's in the key of A minor. And for mine, I'm going to start with A minor. In class, I might have done a different one, but what I'm going to do right now is something really simple. It's a 4-bar progression. I'm going to do 2 bars of A minor and 2 bars of E minor. So it's going to sound like this. A minor, and then E minor, E minor. Now, if you're getting to this point and you don't know how to play A minor or E minor or D minor, D major, F major, and all that other things, then you need to go back and review that with me in class because we spent quite a bit of class time looking at how to play those chords and how to use some resources that we have in the classroom, such as our magic chord cards, to play those chords. But anyway, I'm assuming that's understood. So you have to create your own progression. Here's another possibility, that one that I've used in class at one time or another. It went like this: A minor, F major, D minor, E major. So here's A minor, F major, you can see it's got kind of a cool sound to it, but just to keep things simple for today, I'm doing A minor, E minor, E minor. Okay, so our plan is to record the chords into GarageBand and create several layers using a variety of rhythms and a variety of different instruments and sounds, as many as we can, ideally at least 6, so that then later when we're arranging our track, we can delete some, use different combinations and try to find things we like. But right now we're just gathering materials. So the first layer I'm going to throw down is just this basic electric piano layer. And to do that, when I hit R on my keyboard, it'll start recording. And because this little button here that says 1, 2, 3, 4 is on, that's our count in. And that'll mean I get a 1-bar count in before I start. Okay, so I'm ready with my A minor and my E minor. Here we go. Hit R. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might have noticed that I was deliberately late or early on some of the chords. Let's, I'm going to double click on it so we can have a look at it. Yeah, you can see here on my very first chord, I was a bit late, right on time, and late, quite late. So what you can do, Garageband has this feature called quantization, and if you select the notes you want to quantize, what it'll do, I'll select them now, and you, there we go. See, it says here time quantize, and it says off. Now I want 16th notes. Actually, I could just do for quarter notes now, but I'm going to, 16th note is typically a good quantization. So when I select that, what it's going to do is it's going to move the notes to the closest 16th note, that is the grid line. And you can see for these ones, that'll move it to there, which we want. These ones, hopefully to go there, it might go there, we'll see what happens. These ones, it should line up perfectly. And these ones, it'll be the wrong 16th note. I've selected them all. Let's see what happens. I hit Q here. No, I hit 16th note. And once you've selected this, to do it, you just hit Q on your keyboard. And there you can see these ones, perfect, perfect, perfect. And these ones are the wrong place, but that's okay. I can just select those and literally just drag them over. So that's quantization. It's a cool feature. And I could also drag this out a bit longer. There we go. Here's what I've recorded. A minor. Another bar of A minor. Okay, so that's sort of setting down my basic template. What I'm going to do now is keep adding layers. And with each layer, I'm not going to come up with a new chord progression. Oh, by the way, it's a good time, once you've solidified your chord progression, go into the little notes thing here and write it down. Oh, that's where I wrote down the last one that I did. So anyway, A minor, E minor, E minor. Okay, so that's just in case you forget. When you come back to it, you can look up what your chords are. So I'm going to add a new layer, hitting the plus key here, MIDI, and again, it defaults to classic electric piano. I've already got the electric piano. I'm going to look for something interesting. I wonder in orchestral strings, anything good? No, not what I'm looking for right now. I'm going to go back here to synthesizer. And I'm going to start with plucked. I was hoping to find some plucked strings. And I just want to, I like these plucky sounds. So I'm just going to see what's in here. Just click on one. Not what I want. Nope. That's the kind of thing that could be fun. And some of the instruments have this little interface down here, and you can move this around and try different things. Oh, that's cool. I don't want so much delay. I'm going to turn the delay down a little bit. That's the repeats. And I'm just going to try and play something little that doesn't occupy a lot of space. Let's just have a little playthrough. So it's A minor for 2 bars, E minor for 2 bars. Well, that's kind of cool. Switch to E minor. So what I'm looking for is just different rhythms that I can use on my keyboard to play the same chords. I'm going to try and record that one. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And I'm using that first layer I laid down, this one, as a guide to help me remember when to change chords. Let's see how my timing was. You know what? I think my timing was pretty good on this one, but I can line it up a bit better. So what I can do is Command A, select all, and then just hit Q, either here or on my keyboard, and it just lines them up a little bit nicer. You don't have to do it. You can leave the human feel, but sometimes it's a good idea to do that. Let's have a listen. Okay, cool. So my next one, I'm going to add another layer. This time I might go for the strings or something in the orchestral. I think I'm ready for that now. And what I want to try out is what's called arpeggios. Arpeggios is when you play the chord, but instead of playing, actually I'm going to play it an octave lower. Instead of playing all the notes at the same time, playing them one at a time like this. You know, if I use 2 hands, I could do it over 2 octaves like this. Something like that. Let's just have a little play around. Okay, here we go. I kind of like that. I might try, instead of holding each note for a long time, I might play each note a little bit shorter. I just also want to see what this one sounds like. That's kind of cool. Let's try that one. Here we go. So what I've done there is I've used the notes of the chords over 2 octaves. I'm just going to mute the other one so you can hear it a bit better. I like that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn on some delay, more reverb, and I'm going to double click and shorten all the notes. So again, just select down here, Command A, and if I just shorten them, they're all shorter now. Maybe that's a bit too short. Let's just make them a little bit longer. Oh, and I'll quantize, Command A, hit Q. There we go. And you can see, yeah, the quantizing didn't quite get it right, so you can go back and check. Or I just didn't play close enough. Anyway, that's that one sorted out. Okay, for my next part, I'm going to do clavinet, because I like the funky clavinet from like Stevie Wonder from the 1970s. Here's a chilled clav. Didn't mean to do that. I changed the strings. Let's go back. Add a new layer. Double click on the keyboard. Now let's add the funky clavinet. Let's see what we've got. Flying clav. Yeah, I kind of like that. I might even add more wah to that. There we go. And what if I was to, this time, I'll put the keyboard on the screen so you can see what I'm doing here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to take my chord, right? But I'm going to split it into 2 halves. So I've got the upper 2 notes and the lower note with my thumb, instead of playing all 3 at the same time. So what if I was to have like an answer? So for this first one, you can see I left some space in between the chords. So what if I was to answer those little plucks with something like this? Sorry, where's that keyboard? There it is. Let's have a listen. I'll move that over so you can see where I am. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor. It's working. It's great. Okay, time for my next layer. Hit plus. This time I'm going to again go to the MIDI keyboard. Now I'm going to go to synthesizer, and something I love are pads. Pads are great because pads are they provide this backdrop. They're basically, I like to think of them as the sound of clouds. Let's see let's find a nice pad. Well, that's a pretty one. Eighth Wonder. Let's see what else I got. Airways. Not so much. Oh, when it says mod wheel morpher, that means I can turn the mod wheel on my keyboard and it'll do something cool with it. That's really nice. I like that. I'm going to use that one. I'll do it an octave higher. Here we go. And I'm just going to lay it down. I also might turn the release down a little bit so the note doesn't last that long. Yeah, and turn the delay down a little bit. It's a lot of delay and a lot of reverb. Here we go. I'm just going to try and fill in space. What I'll probably do is turn this one down, make it a bit softer. Here we go. 1. And you can see it started recording a bit early here. It's okay, so what that's going to mean is these notes are a bit early. I'll just fix those up with my mouse. There we go. Hit Q. Now I can shorten that. There we go. It doesn't matter so much with the pad about the quantizing, but I'll just do it anyway. Hit Q. There we go. And now I've got 4 layers, well 5 if I include my electric piano. And what I can start to do also is pan them. Now, unfortunately on the video, the panning won't come out. I'm not sure why it doesn't record in stereo, but here we are. These 2 parts, which are kind of opposites, let me just move them over. They'll be on left and right now. I'm going to turn the electric piano down. Yeah, I think that's sounding really good. Okay, it's time to add one more layer. I'll just do one. This will be my final layer today. And for this layer, I'm going to add a marimba. So let's see, if I go to mallets and then marimba, it's that sound of, you know, the iPhone ringtone. And I think what I want to do at this point is introduce a very cool tool to you all. This is the arpeggiator. And what an arpeggiator does, we already talked about arpeggios for the string line. An arpeggio is when you take a chord and play the notes of the chord one by one. Well, the arpeggiator lets you play the chord and it'll play them one by one. So here, I'm going to hold down A minor and it's arpeggiating. And as you can see, there's a ton of presets here. So for instance, if I go to groovy cycle 4 and just do the same thing, just hold down the A minor chord, you'll get this. So I'm not playing that, I'm just holding down A minor and it's offering a preset, classic cycle 3. And each one is slightly different. Complex chord groove 8. I'm going to do that one, okay? So sometimes, actually, you know what? Let's go for groovy cycle 2. Let's see what that sounds like. I like that, but I'm not going to play it all the time. I'm just going to play it sometimes in the chord. I should also warn you here that if you overuse the arpeggiator, it doesn't sound great. So really be careful with how much you use it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it's hard to hear because there's so many things going on there. Here's what I recorded. I'll just have it just with the drums. And I think that'll sound good with the strings. And again, maybe I'll pull the strings off to the left and the marimba off to the right. Yeah, I kind of like that. And here's what all the elements sound like together. It might sound a bit crowded, but that's okay because, as I said at the start, I'm just trying to gather my elements together at this point. So you can see by choosing how I play, by leaving lots of space, by choosing elements that don't in themselves take up too much space, and by using panning, I've created 6 layers each one expressing the chord progression, the same chord progression slightly differently, but it doesn't sound too crowded. All right, it's your turn. Good luck.